Welcome to Clinician's Corner. Here, Molly and I will provide you with evidence-based insights and practical tools for addressing ultra-processed food addiction. This segment is designed for both individuals navigating recovery and professionals supporting clients through the treatment process. We will be bridging personal experience with clinical expertise to enhance understanding about the treatment of food addiction and the many pathways to recovery.
Each episode explores key topics such as the neurobiology of addiction, strategies for sustainable recovery, behavioral interventions, and the impact of diet trauma. We'll also discuss practical approaches for fostering self-compassion, managing setbacks, and building individualized, empowering eating practices.
Whether you are in recovery or a clinician working with clients, Clinician's Corner offers research-informed perspectives, real-world applications, and therapeutic tools to support long-term healing.
Join us the first Friday of each month for thoughtful conversations that equip you with the knowledge and strategies needed for meaningful progress in ultra-processed food addiction recovery.
Expert insights,
practical tools,
transforming recovery one conversation at a time. Hello, Molly. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. I'm about to head off on a Costa Rican adventure. So that is good to get out of this snowmageddon we're currently experiencing. So I'm excited for that break. But of course, that's like a bit of a fixed response. And so I thought it might be interesting to talk about that today. But first, I wanted to remind listeners that we are on YouTube and that you should please check us out there. Please subscribe. It helps us grow the show and it helps us reach more people who might need help. But yeah, I thought today might be, because we've been talking about this so much in Sweet Sobriety, all of the trauma responses and, whether it was flop or freeze or fight or, fawn. And some of this we're going to be exploring deeper in our liberation modules, which are going to be released in June. So I thought today we'd talk about the fixed response, because I know you ran a group on it and you reported back that, wow, so many people in that group really, this was something that they related to.
Yeah, it was a surprise and it wasn't a surprise. I think that, I think a lot of people can identify with like, yeah, I'm a fixer, and maybe not necessarily hearing, the word fix, but once we kind of get into like, what does it look like? People might start saying,
right,
that's
some
me.
Behaviors might create some aha moments. So
yeah,
if we were just generally thinking about what is the fixed response, this is usually something that I share with clients, that it is this nervous system driven survival strategy. It's not, a personality flaw or a lack of willpower. It's our body's attempt to reduce the threat, reduce discomfort, reduce uncertainty, and definitely shame. So why it's so appealing is because it's action oriented, and action creates relief. And it's different from, healthy, quote unquote, for people who can't see, problem solving, because healthy problem solving really comes from calm and choice. And fixing comes from urgency and kind of like this internal alarm that's going off. And the message is, if I do something fast enough, I'll feel better, or sitting in this is dangerous. So in trauma terms, I like to say it's mobilized survival energy, and it's kind of dressed up as productivity, my productivity people out there. So what would you say about the fixed response?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I would say, let's just right away, like, I love burning bridges while I stand on them. So if that is what this is about to do, so be it. It is not a codependency problem. Like, I just want to get this out of the way. Like, really, really, really annoys me when this gets labeled as codependency. It's not a codependency problem. It's not a character defect. It's not about control. It's really that adaptation, like you were saying, where we learned that it kept someone safe. Maybe it kept us safe or it kept somebody else safe, right? Because it was that actionable thing, like you said, that we figured out, like, when I did the thing, somebody was okay.
Yeah. Or I felt better. I felt a sense of like I'd hurt less.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think the other thing too is like oftentimes we don't even realize we're doing it. We just think, oh, I'm being helpful or I'm being responsible, right? Or oh, I'm like being really loving right now.
Yeah, especially when I know I experience this around certain people when I'm sharing something. Okay, I experience this all the time. Let's be honest, around my dad, when I am sharing something and he immediately is not in a place to listen, he wants to fix. And so it makes me feel really invalidated. But that's not about me, it's about his inability to sit with my pain when I'm experiencing. So I have to be really honest and clear with him about what I need from him. Like, do I need you to hear me? Do I need you to help me? Or do I need you to hug me? And it's just so you know, for me, although I'm a hugger, if I'm struggling with something, it's never going to be a hug. Because I can't sit with those emotions in that moment. But I might need you to hear me. And most of the time, there might be times where I ask for help, but it's mostly just hear me. I just need to talk about this out loud because I'm a verbal processor. So that maybe that helps frames it a little bit more for people listening. But I think some everyday examples we can share. Maybe this might help the listener too. So I see it often in food addiction recovery when people want to change their food plans weekly. Right. So every new plan is bringing kind of this sense of hope or relief. And we're like, oh, this one makes sense for me. And then like when discomfort or cravings or emotions show up, we're like, oh, well, this was just because the food plan wasn't working, right? So the plan gets blamed rather than the person. And so if I fix the plan and I find the right structure, I won't feel this way. And so again, it's that bodily experience of urgency, agitation, panic, rather than nourishment or trust. Another thing I hear is that starting fresh Monday, right? So Monday becomes this symbolic place of safety and this psychological, almost like reset button. And it temporarily soothes our shame by pushing, it into the future. So I don't have to deal with this now. The fixed response really avoids staying present. And we're just really looking for, a sense of time in the future where we'll be able to handle it differently. But if we can't handle it today, we likely can't handle it when it doesn't work out in the future either. And finally, I see it so frequently, and I've done it myself so many times in my substance use disorder recovery, is adding rules after a lapse, right? So if I was dating somebody and I had a return to use, it was like no more dating. If there was anything associated with it, I just added all these rules to give me like safety and this like sense of authority. But all I was doing was tensing and tightening the system rather than being with it. And I was reinforcing, I can't trust myself unless I really clamp down and I'm really serious about this. And over time, more rules actually increases rebellion, not regulation. Can you think of any other ones that you see with clients?
Yeah. I mean, I think of this as like, I call it lawn mowing. So this is like that anticipation of problems where like sometimes we run out in front of other people and we mow the lawn, right? Like, ooh, I see the problem already and I'm going to take care of it for you. Right. So it's that constant scanning for problems and we're like running ahead, anticipating and like taking care of them in front of other people. It was really interesting in group. One of our members like let us know because she had like worked like maybe like in a corporate type setting for years and years and years. And she had like given us the statistic, that something like a huge percentage of a lot of our jobs often is about problem solving, right? And we're rewarded for that. So then like, it's just like, we're primed for it already. And then it's like, ding, right? So we have that constant scanning for problems to solve, that anticipation of those problems before they're even voiced. So we're like fixing them, that feeling responsible when we try to fix it and then it isn't fixed in the kind of way that maybe it's appreciated. Like you were talking about like, oh, dad shows up and fixes it. And you're like, I just wanted you to listen to me. And let me say like what I actually needed kind of deal that, like you were talking about like that anxiety of like until it's handled. Yeah. I think, yes, the obsessing about the having like the right thing right? The
Right. The
optimization thing.
perfectionism, quick
Yeah.
fix. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, the thing that I say to clients often in group, especially is like, your life is not an optimization problem. Like, right?
That's
This is
it.
not,
Yes.
period. Like,
The
your life is not
optimization.
no, it's not an optimization problem. Like, if you're picking optimization of your recovery or your life over stabilization, we're going to constantly be in this fixed place. And so we're always going to be in our head, and we're not dropping down into our bodies. And so we're not integrating. We're not actually going to get that full experience of like living this like big, beautiful life.
Stabilizing, right? We're completely at never like we're always improving, upgrading, refining, no neutrality is never
No.
good.
So then it's always punishment and hyper control. Like, we never get to like actually bask in like, oh, this is what it feels like to be regulated and like enjoy, satisfied, contentment. Like, we never get to reap the benefits because the goalpost is always moving.
Right. And like the goal of change is to get to stage 5, which is maintenance, but we never allow ourselves to stay in maintenance, right? If you don't build that stability and you're always like, trying to hack or, optimize all of these things. And then people are like, I don't understand why I can't stay in maintenance. I'm like, well, you don't allow yourself to stay in maintenance because you're constantly, changing supplements, doing protocol changes. Like, all you're doing is reinforcing that what you're doing is not good enough.
Right. Right. You're like, oh, if this is good, oh, this would be better. Right. Like these constant, again, like the optimization. And this is where I get really angry about like at biohackers. Right. These loud influencers on social media, and they're like biohacking, biohacking, biohacking. And I'm like, listen, nobody is getting out of this life alive. Nobody's getting out of this life alive. I don't care about the freaking quantity of years that I have. I want quality of years. And these quality of years that you're trying to sell me, if I have to pinch my nose and gag down whatever freaking thing it is you're trying to sell me, that is not quality. That's not quality. I rather do the things that I actually enjoy and love and whatever, and have fewer years if that means that I actually get to be in them, present, enjoying them with people that I love. And I get to have, I have this big old smile on my face. Sometimes I can't even get words out over because because I'm living life and I'm loving life. And yeah. And so I guess like I want to throw it back to you. This doesn't just happen out of nowhere. We are biologically wired. You were like naming a lot of F's. I always call them the F's of survival. There are like a lot of them. People are like, are they all F's? Well, yes, somebody got clever and gave them all F names. But you don't have to call them F's. But do you have any sense of like who or what might make fix kind of develop primarily for somebody? Like, yeah.
So before we do, I just have one other area see in commonly, and that is parenting or at work.
Yeah.
So this is what I notice. So overfunctioning, right? People doing more than their share, feeling anxious when others struggle. Rest feels really irresponsible. Even if they're exhausted, the nervous system is believing like, if I stop, everything's going to fall apart. And you mentioned too, taking responsibility for everything, right? So I have this pressure to anticipate problems before they happen. I have a hard time when other people make mistakes because I have no compassion for my own mistakes. And my self-worth is based on usefulness and reliability. And this is usually when people experience burnout and when they start to use food for it. They also tend to be somebody, and this is me, who has difficulty delegating. So delegation triggers kind of this loss of control and uncertainty. How are they going to handle it? They can't do it like I can do it, right? And so it's easier for me, and I had said this, it's easier just for me to do it than to train somebody to do it.
That actually brings up a really good point. They can't do it like I can do it. That's another, sorry, I'm going to jump in there really quick.
Yes.
As a fixer, nobody can deal with this crisis the way I can deal with this crisis, or this crisis is less scary for me if I'm in charge. That's another way that fix can show up, right? Put me in charge. You give me a big old crisis and I'm like cool as a cucumber. I will run the show. You give me 10 emails that I have to respond to and I am a mess. I'm a mess. I don't respond. I'm like, you have 24 hours, girlfriend. You do not have to respond to these things immediately. You take whatever time you need. Like, I have to like talk myself through those things, but somebody needs help.
In crisis,
you suicidal
ideation. Yeah.
Give it to me. I'll be on the phone. I'll be driving to the hospital, whatever. Yeah. Sorry. You saying that made me remember that.
No, and I think it's so true. And I think what the research states where this comes from is usually developmental and trauma roots, right? Like it is a trauma response. So it could be unpredictable or inconsistent caregiving. It can be raised by parents who don't show any emotions, or there's no attunement to your emotions, or you're told like when you show emotions, it's like, ooh, like parents are trying to fix it. Like, oh, I see you're feeling this way. Here, have this, or, don't behave like that. And I think, again, growing up in chaos, addiction, high stress homes, if you had to take care of your parents' emotions because they hadn't done their work and they were, emotionally unstable, you learn really quickly what mom likes, what mom doesn't like, how to behave around dad, how to take care of the family at such a young age. And it becomes a way to earn safety. It makes us feel like we're connected, even though it's not genuine and it's not authentic. There is a level of manipulation now. It's not like, conscious manipulation is because you're just seeking safety, but you are acting in a certain way to change the outcome of somebody's behavior. It's a great way to reduce conflict and, to like mask in a way. It helps regulate any overwhelming emotion. So it's like, I'm okay when I perform. I'm okay when I improve. I'm okay when I solve. And then urgency is like, needs are only met if I do something quickly, right? And presence we associate with pain or even abandonment. So what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, like you said, this is like survival or self-preservation, right? Like we are biologically wired for it. And, and it's not even necessarily like, this isn't about like blaming our caregivers or our parents either. Like you said, it's just like filtering it through the correct lens and saying, listen, like fix is what happens when like we learned that things stabilize, right? Things become safer for us when we can intervene, when we can like show up with tools, solutions, fix it, right?
It's a way to control
the situation, not receiving the hug, the whatever. Like we don't have time to receive, like, don't hug me right now. I just need to be heard. I need a solution. I need a whatever. Don't hug me, right? So like, that's where we learn that. And you're right. It's like that when love or safety even felt conditional, no, fix had to come in place of that, right? Like when we get that reinforcement of like, oh, if I can make things feel better, then that equates to I'm safer, right? And when those caregivers are overwhelmed or dysregulated themselves or unpredictable, I can be the fixer, right? I can make the things stable.
I can be the calm in their storm.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Fix doesn't come by itself. It usually comes alongside things like that hyper independence or hyper responsibility. I don't need anybody. I mean, that is one thing. Like, I don't know that that's a good thing or a bad thing. And certainly here's the thing. When we talk about this in group, I never frame this as like, this is something that has to be changed. This is always like, this actually is beautiful. It protects you. And I always want to normalize it and take the shame out of it. We kind of talk about it as like, do we want to upgrade it? Right? Like, does it need like some tweaking? Because to a point it was helping you and then it crossed a line somewhere. So do we need to like walk it back or do we need to upgrade it? Right.
Right. And there's going to be parts of it that are still adaptive, right? And parts of it that are maladaptive. And so, the parts that are adaptive, let's not lose that.
Let's not
parts
lose
that are
it.
maladaptive, can we get curious about that?
Can we? And can they shift, right? Because it does. It comes alongside that hyper independence. And I'm always like, you know what? My childhood, people are always like, oh, it made you stronger. I'm like, did it? I mean, it made me funny. And it made me a lot of things. Did it make me stronger? Was there another option? I don't know. But it definitely made me hyper responsible, which isn't like super good all the time. Sometimes I take on too much responsibility. I take on responsibility that isn't actually my own, and then I become miserable. So how can I walk that back and start deciphering, like delegating, like what is actually mine and what is somebody else's, right? Like,
And I think I see this in clients when they may still be, they may see me in a one-to-one, but they still struggle to ask for help in the moment because that looks like weakness. Right. And because they have that hyper independence.
Yep, exactly. It also comes alongside fawn.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we fix things, or if we want to fix things, then we also are usually willing to fawn.
Fawning is a great way to fix things.
That's all right. No big deal. I'll take care of it.
I'm so easygoing. It's fine.
Right. And the thing is that we learned, right? We came to believe I don't actually have needs. I'm actually low needs. And that may not actually be the truth.
It's never true. We all have needs.
And that's okay. But we wrote this story that we didn't have needs. And the fix to that was, right, to fawn and to be the fixer.
Right. I just help other people. Isn't that why I became a therapist?
Yes. So, side note, yes, we are all drawn to our professions for different reasons.
Not that a role as a therapist is ever to fix anyone, but it's easier to show up in a helping role, right? Where I'm able to help and support somebody because that keeps me away from myself.
Yes.
Versus me needing to ask for help from anyone else.
There's also an argument to be made that it allows you to play out patterns of getting somebody something that they need that you were not given, right? The need that you were not given. And it kind of like fulfills this thing, right? And so it's really interesting. Human behavior fascinates me. I think
it's also important to talk about people with ADHD because what we know is that fixed response is more common in them. And this is a dopamine regulation issue, I would say, because we know dopamine is the neurotransmitter. It's involved in motivation. It's involved in reward, hope, anticipation. And so when dopamine is low, the body is experiencing that as restlessness, irritability, right? Or maybe something is wrong. And if we fix it, it provides dopamine, right? Something new, a new plan, a new idea, a new system. I had so many systems. Hope. Oh, this might be a better idea. Movement in action. Right. And in food addiction recovery, it's like, yeah, you get excited about a new approach or you can feel regulated briefly. And we tend to crash when the novelty wears off. And I think urgency is kind of a state that many people with ADHD live in, kind of this chronic internal sense of urgency. The body feels like we're always behind, we're always late, we're always missing something important. And that's why we are like information seeking all the time. And this can exist even when life is stable. And fixing soothes that urgency because it feels like we're doing something about it and we're generating some kind of progress. But that urgency often takes us out of, like you talked about, stability, and so we can't integrate these changes. I think the other challenge with ADHD is we hyperfocus on the solutions, right? Hyperfocus is such a powerful regulation tool. It organizes our attention, and a lot of people with ADHD, me included, it really helps us quiet the mental noise. And so Our fixing looks like research. It looks like planning. It looks like what we talked about, optimizing. And when I'm hyper focused, I can feel calm, clear, and capable. And the thing is that my solutions often replace support systems, and the body gets bypassed and our emotional needs still remain unmet. And I think the final piece is the reason we learn this at an early age. Many of us were probably undiagnosed. And so because of that, we would grow up hearing like, you're not applying yourself. Just try harder. You have so much potential, just be more disciplined. And over time, this really creates a chronic sense of shame and a belief that, if I'm struggling, this is a personal failure. And so if I fix, I get to prove my worth, I get to avoid criticism, and I stay ahead of the disappointment.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Can you imagine saying that to somebody who's a fixer? Could you imagine somebody who has all of their cylinders firing, right? Like fully formed prefrontal cortex. Could you imagine showing up to somebody who you see as a fixer being like, you're just not applying yourself? Like, are you mental? Like this person is literally burning themselves out, applying themselves all over the place. It's not a lack of, right? That's not actually not what's happening. And the kind of we have to be mindful of the things that we're saying.
Yes, of how we speak about
Yeah,
people.
absolutely. Because this comes at a huge cost, right? You had talked a little bit about it, right? Like it comes with burnout. It comes with resentment often at those people then who do need too much, right? As a fixer, oh my God, I cannot. This is probably one of those toxic things. Here's where I'm going to get vulnerable, right? Here's a little insight into Molly's mind a little bit. Right. And this isn't who I am, but certainly I have these thoughts sometimes, right? Is that as a person who has had to be independent and figure this out from a very young age, sometimes I get resentful at people who are like, figure this out, fix this for me. Or I feel like they're whining, like it's a really simple fix or something. Right. And I'm like, I figured it out. Why can't you figure it out? Right. Mean Molly shows up because I'm like, how old are you? Can't you look? Right. I get really angry and sometimes it scares me. So I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? But that's a good indication to me. I'm like, ooh, you've been in fix it mode, haven't you? It's like, ooh, you're working harder than somebody else. That's not okay. You better walk that back. Oh, there's your line. Right. Or like you said, that difficulty asking for help. Now I've stopped delegating. I've stopped saying, oh, Clarissa, can you help me with the emails? Whatever it might be. Right. Or like you said, the confusing, oh, where do I have needs? It just comes.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing with, I think, fawning and fixing is when I'm working with people and for my own self, it's totally meeting yourself for the first time.
Yes.
To figure out what you like, what you don't like, because you've been so busy knowing what everybody else likes so that you can make sure that their needs are met so that, again, everything is okay and you're safe. Right. And so now you're kind of left with this blank slate. And it makes so much sense, I think, why when we are burning out and we are giving so much and we are always in that hypervigilant state, why we use food.
Yeah.
Right. And why it tends to be such a common trauma response, I think, in our community and the food addiction community at large. And I think it's because from an early age, we had this strong pull towards diet culture, which was very fix focused.
Yeah, of course. Right. You have a problem? Let's manage your body. Let's manage the food you put in there.
If we quote unquote fix your body, all your problems go
away. Oh my gosh. It's so true.
Or these detoxes, right? Or these cleanses or these reset plans or these supplements or these rules that we want to make around things.
But then how that also then translates into relationships. How often then as a fixer do we find ourselves in relationships where now we're trying to fix the person we're with, right?
Yeah.
Because we're oh, that's okay. Oh, you can't maintain a job. That's fine. I'll maintain a job while you work on that. Or, whatever, now you're valued for what you do, not who you are. Oh, that what?
So for anyone who is watching or not watching YouTube, I raised both my hands because I am really good at finding people who need help in relationships and not having any needs in intimate partner relationships. And after a while, yes, you resent them. And after a while, yeah, you feel like you're never seen by them. But of course you're never seen by them because you never show them yourself.
But again, then this all comes back to food, body, the diet, right? Like it all comes back because whatever, it comes back to substances and behaviors often because it grows. We're shoving it down and it has to come out sideways and it has to be something that's big and external and it has to be able to manage the big things that are inside of us. And while we've been out here externally fixing, managing, whatever, nobody has shown up and taught us how to manage and cope and process and integrate what is happening inside of us. Nobody, because the adults, right? They couldn't do it. So we showed up with our little kid brains, most likely, right? That were not fully developed. And we started taking action. And that is not how we process and integrate nervous system, anything, emotional, anything. Right. So of course it takes these external things. And so we can start to see how this becomes very cyclical and how they all really start to come together. So, okay, kids, again, what do we always say? It's about the food until it's not about the food because it was never about the food. And it's really important that we talk about these things because these things are the 90% of the iceberg under the water that will keep us coming back to these, right, outlets that keep us stuck.
Right. And so I think it might be important to talk about like, how do I know if I have a strong fixed response? And so I think some questions you might ask yourself might look like, do you get anxious when there's no clear plan? Now, like I would also scale that anxiety because most people get anxious. Unknowing equals uncertainty equals anxiety. So that's going to be real for most people. But is it like an 8, 9, or 10 compared to like a 2 or a 3? Do you feel unsafe when you're not actively improving? Do you rush to change your feelings instead of just being able to notice them? I think some of the behavioral signs might be you're somebody who always jumps quickly to solutions. You find yourself, like we talked about, restarting plans a lot. You get really frustrated with slow or relational healing, which is recovery. And some of the emotional signs I think that we can look for are impatience with yourself. If you have some really harsh self-talk and your inner critic is loud and you have this chronic sense of, being late, being behind, or maybe even being quote unquote broken.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, are you treating your recovery like a project? Like
with a completion date,
right? Do I get an A+ gold star?
Yeah, where's my gold star?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you over intellectualizing? Meaning like, does everything have to be up here? Right? Like, does it, is it everything about information and analyzing and processing versus like healing, right? Like, am I in my body anywhere? Am I avoiding grief and processing, integrating by staying busy? Right. To your point, like, do I have difficulty tolerating the uncertainty, pauses, like not knowing what's next, that kind of thing? Absolutely. Am I always asking, am I doing it right?
Mm-hmm. Checking in with other people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Having like lots of plans about like what I'm going to do next, but not really having that emotional connection to it. And something that I think like comes to mind for me is like, we do the foundation. So we have our foundations program, and just a little side note, if anybody wants to, by the time you listen to this, you still have time. Our next live foundations is starting February 9th, 7 p.m. Eastern on Mondays, if anybody's interested. But what am I trying to say? I just lost my thought.
Okay. Well, I can jump in because I think when you started talking about body, somatic Clarissa got very excited.
Yeah, talk about it. Yeah.
Was like, oh, a great way for us to check in is like, what does fixed response feel like in the body? And this is something I laugh so hard about because it happens every time I lead an embodied or somatic meditation in group. I start at the head and I maybe we're doing a body scan and I get to the jaw and I'm like, oh, my jaw is so tight all the time. I'm leading it. I should know this is coming. And I am surprised every time. And so a jaw clenching, shallow breath, tight chest. You might sometimes feel like a tight throat. You might constantly feel like you have this buzzing, kind of restless energy, and always noticing like something must be done now, urgency, and like recognizing that action brings relief, right? But that relief will fade and then the alarm comes back and it's louder. You will have a hard time, challenge anyways, sitting in rest and stillness because it will feel threatening because I just told you everything that's happening in your body. And so when when we are aware to what's happening, body's asking for body solutions, but it's going to be really easy for me instead of staying body, like you were talking about, jump to the head.
Yes.
Get out of body as quickly as possible. And so when we're noticing these feelings, like I said, I always have this clenched, my right hand is always clenched. And so it's noticing and releasing. And then I might squeeze it extra tight and then release just to notice. If I'm noticing a tight chest, maybe I'm going to do some opening exercises or some breathing exercises. If I'm noticing I have a clenched jaw, I'm going to maybe massage it. Maybe I'm going to, what you can't see if you're listening is I'm opening my mouth as wide as possible and then release. And you'll notice the body organically, automatically comes back much looser. And so again, paying attention for these bodily signs that I'm in fix mode. And I think if you can start to identify environments, maybe people where this is really strong, that's an opportunity for you to really practice this, checking in with body. Oh, I know when this person shows up, I always, go into fix it mode. Okay. So we're not saying you need to take away the fix it mode. Can you start with just tuning in and checking in and noticing what's happening in body right now when you're in around this person, or if it's at work, you're at work.
Totally. Yeah. So that jogged my memory. So in foundations, we have an assignment, the grief letter to the food, to the behavior, whatever it might be. And fixers have a hard time emotionally connecting to that letter. So I love what you just shared, how it shows up in the body and the different things that we can do when it's showing up in the body. Right. Yeah. Because we minimize our own pain. We feel uncomfortable when we're not like showing up and giving advice, right? Like there are different ways that like it just really shows up for us and the different things that we can do. Definitely. So, I know that we're running out of time and I just want to give kind of like a reframe because again, we're not trying to fix. We're not trying to get rid of fix at all. I want to be very, very, very clear. This is a biologically blueprinted, wired in survival response. This is self-preservation. Strategy. This is protective. We don't want to get rid of it. We just want to like update it, right? We just want to like give you some ideas. If it's crossed that line and become maladaptive for you, like how can you walk it back and make it a little more helpful, right? Because it should be about your choice, right? Like it should be like consensual, like it's something you actually want to do, right? And it should be proportional to like what's actually happening. Right.
I agree. So like creating awareness is the first step to being able to shift. And again, we're not asking you to shift out of it. We're asking you, can you start to build some capacity around it? Expand your window of tolerance, maybe start to do some regulation that is proactive rather than reactive. So, practicing compassion and curiosity with, after maybe you have a fix situation, right? It's like, oh, I wonder why that happened. Or going in really prepared, like you said, and like checking in with body and noticing like, again, what is that sense of urgency feel like? And what are the things that you continually tend to go to and get really curious why? Why am I doing this right now? You're researching something. What's happening, right? Is like, I got here somehow. What brought me here to this moment? Because I think curiosity and compassion, again, is nervous system regulation, which then allows us to see these behaviors for what they are. Is like, oh, it makes so much sense. I would want to research a new diet plan or a new food plan because I just had like a reoccurrence and I'm feeling a lot of guilt and shame and I'm not comfortable sitting in this guilt and shame. And so I'd rather put that energy and focus into what's next rather than, oh, of course I had that reoccurrence. I had so much going on, and it doesn't mean the plan is wrong. I know recovery is about consistency versus intensity. And so maybe this time I can try and do things a little softer, gentler, slower. And maybe I'll stick with the plan this time and see how things go.
Yeah, exactly. So in a nutshell, right? Like observing, like staying in it, stay curious, right? Like what would it be like for me not to immediately take over? So if I'm being asked to do something, or maybe I'm not even being asked, but this is a situation where I would typically maybe just take over, right? Any natural born leaders, quote unquote, in here, right?
True that.
Okay, so maybe I just need to like sit back and witness my own behavior, observe my own behavior, or observe what's going on and stay present, like stay in my body, because fixers, right? Like we're like, we don't even like, we go to our head. So stay in my body, discern, like, is this mine? Right. So a little bit of discernment, like, is this my responsibility to take on? Do I need to fix? Do I need to whatever? And then timing, like you said, like, is this urgent? Do I need to do something about it right now? Can I sleep on it? Can I give it a few days to really kind of like mull it over? Is this mine to do? I mean, I think that's pretty much what you said in a nutshell. Like, yeah, just really like slowing it down, pausing, right? Building in the pause. And it might be more than a 30-second pause that we're talking about when we're talking about fixing, because oftentimes fixing is more than just like a quick, like, oh, I'll do it. And we're scanning our lunch card to pay for somebody's lunch. Now that's one thing, but like often this is, hey, let me give you the answer to the whatever, or let me just tell you how to run your food plan or your recovery program or whatever it may be. This might be a little more in depth. And so can you kind of stay with yourself and really check that out? Is this really yours to have to show up for? Or could your energy be turned toward your own stuff in a different way? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, any final words before we let everybody go?
No, while you were talking, I was just thinking about how many times I said, I'm going to change the world with food addiction recovery. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like we are taking fixing to a whole new level, Clarissa. This is really awesome. And it's just like, I just want to normalize how, again, how adaptive this can be. And I don't think it's maladaptive for me to think and feel that way sometimes, because I find it very motivating and it keeps me doing what I'm doing and passionate about it. So let's not mistake passion for fixing. And yeah, I hope this conversation brings up more thoughts or reflections. And, we would love to hear more about what you want us to talk about. So you can email us at our email address.
Yeah, which is foodjunkiespodcast@gmail.com. And I would just say too, I see this as a strength for myself too, where like, I know I've always got me, right? Like I trust me. I have been solving adult problems since I was very little, right? Like I know I've got me. That's where I feel like it's a strength for me. And I know, and I have started to really learn where it becomes maladaptive, because now I'm just like exhausted. I'm like, oh, that is so not my problem. Not my, not my pasture, not my bulls, not my circus, not my rodeo, right? Like whatever saying helps you to really start to discern where your energy needs to go and where it doesn't need to go, it might be helpful to like help, figure out where is that line in the sand so you can start walking back. Because you're right, Clarissa, like passion is one thing and wanting to help is another, but like certainly wanting to fix to the point where now we are hurting ourselves is a completely another level. That's another level, but where it can be our strength and where it can be our power is totally another. And so we are always excited to hear from our listeners. If you want to hear more on this topic or something else, absolutely do send us an email at that email, foodjunkiespodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful trip to Costa Rica, Clarissa.
Yes, I will. And I will see you next month. Well, I'll be talking to you, but I'll see our listeners next month.
Yay.
Thanks for joining us this week on Food Junkies Recovery from Food Addiction. Make sure to join our Facebook group, Sugar Free for Life Support Group. I'm Sweet Enough. Molly and Clarissa are food addiction professionals who offer one-to-one counseling and group coaching through Sweet Sobriety. Please subscribe to our show so you never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in today's episode, we'd appreciate you leaving us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps grow our show and allows us to reach others who need to hear this message of recovery. Don't forget to pick up a copy of Dr. Tarman's book, Food Junkies. And as Vera always says, the power is ours.